I'm the most important one.
Yeah, well, your boom is kind of blocking out Randy's face, but that's not a big
Okay. Just don't black out my face. Well, that's quick.
deal. This is fast.
February live cattle down 125 to 139.27. April down 37 at 141.92. March feeder cattle up 92 cents at 160.02. April up 95 at 164.75. And April lean hogs down $1.85 to close at 103.67. From the farm desk, I'm Dwayne Murray.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVF.
That's right. I am banging. I don't know about these guys. 410 at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Of course, we're talking sports on Friday. And we finally have the reigning authority on sports back in the studio. That, of course, is Nevin Mulholland. How you doing over there, Nev boy?
Oh, Mike, I'm good. Happy to be back with you two.
All right. Let's go to the phones. AM 1400 KVFD. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
I'm live on the air. This is Big Ed from Georgia. Michael Devine, the truth doctor, the doctor of truth, keeping America and Iowa as straight as possible.
It's amazing that you called, because Nevin Mulholland is in the studio now. You remember Nevin, of course.
I do remember Devin. I'm not sure he likes me, but I like him.
Oh, no, I think
Ed. I've shown you nothing but love.
Good deal. I was just really kind of kidding.
I know you were.
He's not lost like most of them.
So, Ed, are you calling from Ukraine? Because the Democrats have screwed up another one, as you know.
Oh, we have. All right. Who's Putin's biggest supporter? Yeah, your boy Trump.
I'm surprised he hasn't changed his affiliation because
God.
I'm telling you, it has really gotten bad. It has really gotten bad. I'm worried about Iowa, and I'm worried about the United States.
Well, I am too, but this is kind of the sports show, Ed. What's happening in Georgia sports? Is that your thing?
Started that.
What's that now? I didn't quite catch that.
Are you a Georgia sports fan?
No, I'm an Iowa sports fan.
He's an Iowa. He's a bright guy. He's an Iowa sports fan.
Iowa Cyclones, Iowa State.
You and I, Panthers.
Northern Iowa.
There you go, buddy. That's all right. That's all right. Well, Ed, we're going to go ahead and do this sports talk show. I'm going to give you a call next week, and we'll have you on for an hour. How's that?
Like a dream come true.
That's exactly what it is, Ed.
The Insane Hour with Mike and Ed.
I want to ask Devin about them illegal immigration people coming in here in droves and destroying our country. But I ain't got time for that now.
Well, we could use them. We can use them around here.
Everybody's
working, and we don't have people to do the work. But whatever, Ed.
If we started,
hey, all we got now is fake news. Fake news.
Except here, Ed. Except here, buddy. You know that. No,
But
absolutely not.
They're lying to us like right through the teeth, like I used to hear in Iowa.
But
I can't believe the Democrats done lost their way.
Well, they did a long time ago. But I am the doctor of truth. And by the way, if we started opening the borders to thousands and thousands of lawyers, I think Nevin's attitude would change.
We need more lawyers, actually.
I don't have no PhD or nothing like that, but when people are coming in here with guns and everything else, and no job and everything, how can anybody?
We'll put them to work, Ed.
I don't get it.
Ed, we'll talk to you next week. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All the best to y'all.
See ya.
Keep Iowa straight.
I will. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. You two seem to get along really well.
Really well. I haven't talked to him in 2 years.
You know what?
And all of a sudden, here we go.
If there was a bunch of lawyers pouring over the border, we would build a wall.
All right, I'm having to think. If I'm Juwan Howard, I'm going to knock out guard of Wisconsin, and I think I should get an award of some time, not a suspension. And you guys know me. I'm not exactly a liberal, but Juwan Howard got suspended for the rest of the season. I know it's only 5 games. And they're discussing if Michigan, and I really don't think this is going to happen, if Michigan gets in the postseason, suspending Howard even through the postseason. Well, Guard, who I think was the instigator, got a 1-game suspension. I don't think that's fair. I think we have to address this situation, and I don't want to use the word equity because I don't believe it, but equally, certainly, And I think guard is just as guilty as Juwan Howard. And most importantly, we simply cannot have this sort of thing at basketball games at the collegiate, high school, or pro level. I mean, the fans are right there. I mean, that had the real potential to get out of hand.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, you know, I hear what you're saying, but to take a swing, and even though it was an open hand,
It's a slap,
hit,
yeah.
slap is going way too far. No question about that.
I'm not
But I'm not going
defending
to
that.
defend guard because I think Wisconsin's one of the dirtiest basketball teams in the league.
Yeah, I should have
Yeah.
said that. I'm not really taking a side here as
Yeah.
far as really poor behavior. They're both guilty.
But it sounded like guard, yeah. I mean, Juwan was going to walk by him, and then guard said something to him, right? Juwan,
Well, he was
Juwan-
going to do a blow by. He wasn't going to hardly shake his hand. Just
Yeah.
and
Guard grabbed it.
well, wait a minute. But what I saw is that, but Howard did pull his mask down and say, "Hey, I'll remember this."
Yeah.
And Gar goes, "Well, what?" And Gar grabs the whole and say, "Hey, let me explain," because they both, frankly, you know, the fact that Gar calls a timeout with 10 seconds left,
14,
okay,
yeah.
that bugs me. But if Howard's going to press,
You're right.
then you call timeout and get set up. I got no issue with that. Honest to God, I think, and frankly, I think the punishment is about right. I do. Howard 5 games, guard. Did he get one? I didn't know.
Yeah, he got one.
No, he didn't.
I didn't
He
think
didn't get a one-game
He
suspension.
got a $10,000 fine.
That was it.
Yep.
I would have suspended him for a game.
Yeah.
Because when he grabbed him, then, you know, he should have let it go. He didn't. He's trying to justify why he's calling the timeout. And then Juwan Howard, the fact that, well, I felt threatened. That's a
No,
that's a
yeah,
crime.
Yeah, that's
Come on.
But how old were you guys when you realized you don't go up to a man who's furious with you and try to talk sense to him? Because I was about 12. You know, you don't go up to a man who's steaming and he's glaring at you and say, "Let me explain why I did something and offended to you."
Especially,
You want to let him calm down. Talk to him the next day.
especially if he's 6'9", 250.
Yeah, really.
Well, I think in retrospect, you're absolutely right. I think guard would have just passed on it and let it go for the very reason that you
Right.
say things. You know, everybody's a little edgy. Obviously, Howard has a reputation
Right.
of being edgy.
Yeah, he does.
He does. And so this isn't his first rodeo. He went down this road with Mark Turgeon last year in Maryland in a
Right.
big way.
Well, they kind of hired Howard for that way to bring some life and some juice into the Michigan
Yeah.
program.
Well,
Not
that
that way,
doesn't
but-
cut it.
Not
Yeah.
that. No, I'm not saying to that.
Yeah.
extent.
But honestly, I do understand that you can become pretty emotional. Basketball is an intense game, and you're coaching and playing. It's
Lot of
intense.
stress.
A lot of stress. You got 15,000 people on top of you. And I
That's
mean,
right.
I can see where you could lose it, but you can't. And you just got to get through there. That begs the question. Do you even go through this whole shaking hands
Right.
business immediately after a ball game? Of course, it's good sportsmanship. And yeah, okay, maybe you should be able to walk through that and not lose it. But,
It's
And
got-
if you're furious, you should be able to just walk by and skip the handshake. Guard again, I believe, used very poor judgment. I'm not saying it compares to Howard. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't in some people's mind. But I know better than to approach a man who's furious with me and say, "Let me explain why you're wrong."
but you have done it before.
Well, I have done.
So
it.
have I.
Yeah, and
Because, you get your back up a little bit,
that's a
and-
different thing. I want to fight him now.
No,
Now,
I'm
yeah.
not talking about fighting, but I want to state, hey, listen, I don't deserve to be treated like this. I was just coaching my team. I mean, that would be guard's response. But I agree with you in the sense that, hey, let it go.
Let it
and
go.
Move on.
Let it
Talk
go.
about it the next day or whatever. Call them up and say, listen, I want to clear the air.
That's
out of
right.
this."
That's right. That's the way.
But interesting enough, because I'm the only one here that I actually watch girls basketball too. Especially I watch. the Hawkeyes.
Sometimes I watch the girls play,
Yeah.
and they're the
They're fun
women's
to watch.
the women's team.
You're
the
watching
women's-
Kind of watched them last night. Was Rutgers last night
Yeah.
or 2 nights? I didn't like the way the game was
That-
played. They were throwing the ball over
I'll
the
tell you, I
shoulders.
cannot wait for the University of Iowa to field a women's wrestling team. I think that's going to be very interesting. I have a granddaughter that's 9 years old who's wrestled a few times. Those girls are tough, man. I'll tell you.
Well, but here, the girls, the girls programs do not shake hands after a game.
Really,
They do not.
I never noticed.
And it's only the boys, only the men. Why is that?
To promote good sportsmanship.
Well, I'll tell you, you're asking for these kind of things to happen. Many times it could be between players, not coaches.
Has been.
You know, in
It's-
Iowa, just this past winter, an Iowa kid, you know, going through the handshake line, turned and attacked another player on the other team.
Kid from Sadell, you know, and that, but also I think high school girls do shake hands, by the way.
High school girls
College
do.
don't.
Yeah, college don't, but high school.
I,
girls do.
I really think it's a good tradition that should continue. And I think the punishment for breaking that tradition.
Do they do that in wrestling, Mike?
Do they do that? Yes, they do.
After the meet?
Well, you remember earlier this year, Tom Brands and Kevin
Wrestler.
the
Dressler.
Dressler
Dresser.
got,
Dresser.
almost went to blows during the ISU
You're
Iowa.
making a point.
What?
But they don't shake hands after the meet, do they? The wrestlers?
They give each other high fives. I've watched a lot of wrestling meets. I've watched a lot of wrestling meets.
Okay.
And usually, we're talking about a few bad examples here, and I'm disappointed in Dresser and Brands for letting things get out of hand. I mean, they're supposedly the adults in the room, and they should
They're
have
wrestlers, though.
I understand. Believe me, I know wrestlers. I've
All
been
right.
taken down.
If
a few
there's
times.
ever a couple, two teams that shouldn't be shaking hands, probably wrestlers after a tough meet.
Okay,
I
so
mean-
basketball players, we should force them, but not wrestlers.
No, but wrestlers run it. They really run hot, man.
And by the way, congratulations to our area wrestlers who did a great job again this year. We didn't get a state champ this year, but we represented very well down there in Des Moines.
Yeah.
And it was very, very good. Nevin Mulholland and Randy Cohen are here. We're talking sports. If you have a question or comment that does not have anything to do with the Democrats, call 515-955-1400. I got to remember to call Ed next week. He obviously really wants to get on.
Obviously.
He wants to get on and vent, so I'm gonna let that happen. Anyway, 955-1400. You guys are all tuned up on basketball this week. Iowa State and Iowa had some really exciting games.
Yep.
Iowa just smoked Michigan State.
Right.
I was really surprised. Not that Iowa won, but what did they beat them by? 24 points or
Something
something
like that. Yeah. They played.
I think more surprising is the Ohio State win.
Yeah.
You guys were talking about that when you
That was
walked
big.
in, and you were all pumped up. So.
Yeah.
You didn't expect that the Buckeyes would beat Illinois? Because I thought they would.
No, I'm talking about Ohio
Iowa.
State, Iowa.
Oh,
The Hawks beating them earlier in Columbus.
Oh,
A week
okay.
ago.
All
Went
right.
into Ohio State,
All right.
beat them at Ohio State.
Yes, that's really good.
And I mean, Iowa's won, 5 out of their last 6, I think. Now we're on a roll.
What are we ranked?
25th.
25th. Is that all? I thought we were ranked a little higher.
You will be next week. Who do the Hawks have this weekend?
Well, we're playing tonight against Nebraska, at Nebraska.
Oh, well.
Speaking of
W.
Nebraska, yeah, and I see that Nebraska must have changed its ways. They're going to keep Hoiberg.
They're keeping him for another year, and
That
they're-
reduced
but
pay.
They reduced his.
That's what they did with what's
They
his name.
cut his pay. I know
Scott
they cut
Frost.
his buyout. I don't
To
know if they-
11 million.
They cut it to 11 million.
Oh my
And
goodness.
they cut his pay by $250,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they cut it by $250,000. And if I'm not mistaken, he was entitled to a $500,000 bonus for finishing out his third year over there. And he agreed to waive that.
He agreed to waive.
That is the new Nebraska plan. But I predicted this. I told you guys, they're doing damage control. They can't afford to cut these guys loose. It was too
No.
much money.
It really
It was too much money. So he did it with Frost. I'm not surprised at all that he's doing it with Hoiberg. At the end of the day,
Who's the AD?
Trev Albert.
Trev Alberts, Cedar Falls boy. At the end of the day, what's going to happen? I don't see this playing out well for Hoiberg. I mean, I think he's got a big mountain to climb. I mean, this program's, it's rock bottom right now.
Right.
Oh, it's
Okay.
terrible.
And he's got a decent recruiting class coming in again next year. But how many of these guys are sticking around after this year?
Right.
And do you want them? I don't know. And maybe it's a good thing if you can get rid of them. But the point is, you're just building up no continuity. It's hard to take, 7 new guys every year and build some type of cohesive offense, defense, and culture, frankly, where the guys like each other and they get along and they play
Right.
with each other. It takes a while. And so I think I think this was all damage control. Let's see what we can do. We're just going to have to bite the bullet. Let's cut down that buyout and let's reduce that salary, save some money. We'll give them another year. And if we got to cut them loose, it's a pill that we can swallow easier than we could this year.
Yeah, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Any sports fans out there not named Flaherty? We don't let them on the air, do we? We haven't
The
heard-
Flatteries?
Flatteries.
Oh,
what did
yeah.
I say?
Flaherty.
Flaherty.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Mick, you can come on.
So, what did you think about the Iowa State game? Otzelberger.
Great game.
Great game.
West Virginia. Yeah, I tell you, I'd give, well, first of all, the crowd's fabulous down there.
Right.
And they get an assist on that. And then
Brockington.
Brockington is
What a show he put
terrific.
on.
Yeah.
That was his breakout game, wasn't it? I mean,
Well,
he's
it's
No,
not a breakout. He's
no.
been doing that all year.
Yeah.
That was his best game, probably.
They can't win without him.
Right.
All right. They go as Brockington goes. And he knows it. He gets it. And boy, he took over the fourth quarter of that game in a big way. I don't know how this guy I did anything at Penn State. I never even heard of him when he was at Penn State
I don't
last year,
remember
Randy.
last year.
Yeah,
I don't.
and this guy is good. I mean, this guy's an All-American possibly. All right. I mean,
He's a pro. I mean,
Yeah.
because he's such a good athlete, and he can score obviously, but he's also a good defensive player. So I mean, he's got all the qualities to have a good pro career.
yeah.
And and the ironic thing, not only did he have like 32 points, but he makes the big steal at the end of the game and scores on that too.
Which was probably what won the game.
yeah.
In spite of everything else he did, that steal was terrific. Boy, I tell you, the West Virginia really went down their leg in that game. Wow. I thought they had semi-complete loss of composure.
You think so?
Yeah.
I thought Iowa State just beat him.
No. They threw the ball around the gymnasium a couple times, especially on the play that turned the game. It was a press. They called timeout to set up their press break. And then that's what they do.
Guy just throws it out of bounds.
Yeah.
That was kind of bad, yeah. By the way, this weekend there will be the Iowa AAU state championships in Des Moines for little kids. Wesley James Devine is ranked 4th in a class of 32.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice
Very
job.
good. Yeah. I'll be going down tomorrow. As quick
Where
as I
they
can.
at that?
Wells Fargo.
Wow.
At Wells Fargo?
Well, oh yeah, the big time. They're going all the way.
Good.
And,
No, that's fun.
Yeah, that is fun, and of course the place will be a madhouse with all those little
Yeah,
kids and parents from all
Oh,
over the
yeah.
state. Gosh, I remember going to so many tournaments, and when Luke was in school, they're always crazy events. Of course, you do have to sit there 3 hours to watch a kid wrestle for 40 minutes sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's worth it, right?
I thought so.
Oh, heck yeah. Most parents think it is. That's great fun stuff.
Yeah,
That's cool.
That is
And this is a big deal, state, AAU.
It is. All right. The news is coming up. This is AM 1400 KVFD. Palm Waters.
I'm amazed that they could even rank the kids at that age.
Yeah. But you know,
You got to
wrestling,
see it. Go on track ride. I know you don't get track wrestling, but man, they cover that like
Do
a
they really?
oh.
well, they're doing it more with basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not that young as far as
Ultra Pure Mountain Valley
rating or
Pure
tracking.
Repellents is your complete water store.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You
West
won't ever have to
Usco
miss
used
out
in
on your
Iowa.
favorite shows and
Wrestling
contests
club, the
with
guy
this
used to
radio
work with a lot, was
station
Vince
and
Lee.
radio
That's always kind of cool.
Well, that is very cool.
When you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Inflation just broke a nearly 40-year record thanks to
Oh,
Biden's.
God.
Who is that?
I don't know. I didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Some guys talking about buying gold.
No, I heard it. That's why I was asking who it was.
We'll probably tell you.
Protect what you've earned by converting your IRA or 401k into gold with Birch Gold Group. Hi, this is Stephen K. Bennett, and I'm one of Birch Gold's many happy customers. To learn how to set up your own gold IRA, get a free 20-page info kit when you text the word SHELTER to
You go to this, Mike?
989898. Gold-backed IRAs
No, I
make it
missed
simple
it.
to ensure your savings will be there.
They never
when
put
you
out
need
any
it.
news about it
Tax
ahead of
shelter.
That was,
No matter
it
what
was poorly
happens in
attended.
Washington,
I think,
text
the weather just,
SHELTER to
I thought about
9898
going, but
right now.
well, Brooks
Get
going
your
to go
free
cover
info
it
kit
from the news.
for gold.
I didn't even know they were having it.
Yeah.
Republican deal.
Republican Party of
Yeah,
Iowa.
I
Yeah, it
saw
wasn't
it.
a Webster County deal. And why they didn't advertise it more locally, I don't know.
They,
But they've had you know, 250, 300 a lot of times.
Oh, yeah.
Last night was around 150, 120, from what I understand.
KBFD News, I'm Brooke Bickford. The proceedings for a Fort Dodge man accused of stabbing his grandmother on October 24,
Grandmother?
2020.
Reno Bodette.
You
I knew
remember
him.
Reno.
Oh,
was
yeah.
found competent
He used to come over to
stand
our
trial.
yard,
The attempted
to our
murder
house and play
trial
in the
of
yard. He used to
38-year-old
look
Reno
adorable.
Bodette was
Reno, the one
criminal,
that-
but according to Iowa court documents,
This is
District
Reno.
Court
That
Judge
Brownlee would
Angela
always
Doyle
pick
ruled
up and bring
yesterday
to
that
Baldwin.
Bodette
Is
has
that-
been
okay,
restored
Reno's
to
in one of my
competency
kids'
and will
age.
continue
Yeah,
to
get
receive
'em all.
psychiatric
Brownie
care.
is-
Russia's
is,
invasion of Ukraine has
Manny
already
Taylor.
led to an increase in
Okay,
Iowa
Manny
gas
Taylor,
prices. AAA Iowa
Brownlee was
spokesperson
the
Meredith
first guy-
Mitz told Radio
was ahead of
Iowa
his
the
time.
price
He
of
was
a barrel of oil
already
went up. That
recruiting
led
and
to the
using the
gas
transfer
increase.
portal.
Oil prices
Yeah.
were around the $100 mark
Are you talking
yesterday.
Jack Brownlee?
Mitz doesn't
His
know
dad.
when gas prices
Oh.
might drop again.
What is his
It's
dad
a
do?
little too early
He's
to tell how
attorney.
long this
He's
is gonna last.
retired.
It's going
Retired
to
attorney.
depend heavily on
Oh,
the
duh.
geopolitical tension and how
He's
the
actually doing
conflict impacts
mediation, so I-
supply in an already tight market.
Mitz says the supply of
Who is
gas
he
in
with?
Iowa is not the
He-
problem.
Kirsten and Brownlee.
Kristen Brownlee, Hendricks.
Hendricks.
So trying to fill up and store up on this because we shouldn't be seeing much impact on the
Oh, gosh.
She says
Who was the,
crude oil prices will
I went over to
continue
his house and
to
watched the Super Bowl one
City
time.
Manager
Jerry
David Pierce
Estes.
says the homeless issue in Fort Dodge
Wasn't it
is
Estes?
top of
Yeah.
mind for the city and the
Yeah, he lived back,
that is evolving.
on
Right
the
now,
north
it is
side of
more
town. He had a nice
reactive
kind of
rather than
Spanish style house.
proactive, and that is
He was a
something
nice
Pierce
guy.
says needs to
He was
change.
just by himself all
There's
over
a level
the
of
place.
frustration that happens in a
No.
community like Fort Dodge
He's married to
that
Mary.
offers many
No, I
resources
mean,
that
as far as a law practice.
Yes.
utilize,
Yes.
either fall short or the resources aren't able to properly help them, as in the case with many mental health issues. Birk says this adds to the problem on the streets and for law enforcement.
We have situations where people are coming for this community from outside, seeking assistance, which as a community, we're not set up to offer. There are folks that are dropped off at the shelter and they have mental health issues. The shelter's not for mental health issues. So we need to be able to react to those situations and get the person the care they need.
Birk says facing the homeless problem is one that can't be done alone, that working with the local shelters, law enforcement, and individuals themselves on a case-by-case basis is what it's going to take. The South Central Calhoun girls basketball team is headed to state.
Whoa.
Listen to the Titans take on Dyke New Hartford Tuesday night in Des Moines.
They've always got a pretty good program over there at South Central Calhoun.
Yeah, they have.
Girls program.
Big.
I gotta go here.
Newsroom, I'm Brooke Bickford.
This is AM 1400, KBFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine, 432. We'll be back to the sports show with Nevin and Randy in just a minute. First of all, the weather, it's still 18 degrees here in town. Overnight, it'll be clear with a low of 5. Wind chill factor temperatures 10 below. Tomorrow, some snow in the morning
Oh,
with a high of 38. On Sunday, it'll be sunny with a high of
40.
37. Monday, sunny with a high of 46. Tuesday,
Business
sunny
is
with
promoted.
a high of 44, and Wednesday mostly sunny with a high of 46. Thursday it'll be sunny with a high of 41. So we're doing all right. Again, it's 18 degrees right now. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic
says-
Bruce Funeral
He
Home
says
here
it's
in
a smart
Fort
move
Dodge.
to move to
The
a big
historic
market
Bruce
so you
Funeral
can
Home
make
is at
money.
923 First Avenue
Yeah, that's what's
South
gonna
here in
happen.
yeah,
Fort
I
Dodge.
know.
You may contact the historic
Yeah.
Bruce Funeral Home and cremation services by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. Mr. Robert Knudsen of Fort Dodge has passed away. Robert Knudsen was 58 years old when he died yesterday. Services will be held at a later date. The historic Bruce Funeral Home is in charge of arrangements. These obituaries have been brought to you by the historic Bruce Funeral Home Information Services at 923 First Avenue South here in Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. Get it? There you go. Mm-hmm.
Mike, they'd like to raise $1 million for this facility. They contacted you yet?
No, I haven't. I'm glad I
The Iowa
could.
Wrestling Facility.
God, glad I came in $10. Yeah.
Rising 835 points for its best day of the year. The
God,
Nasdaq up
so much money, though.
221, S&P 500 up 96, and the Federal Reserve's
Especially
primary
for
measure of inflation
a
hit
non-revenue
a
producing
30-year
sport
high
like
in January
wrestling.
as
That's
strong consumer
outstanding.
demand and pandemic-related supply disruptions fueled
Well,
price
my
gains.
wife
The Commerce Department's personal
threatened me, so I
consumption
agreed to do it.
You were threatened.
We're actually going down to the Iowa, Michigan girls game Sunday.
Sold out.
And it's sold out.
Yeah. 15,000.
Yeah, and if Iowa wins that game, they tie for the conference championship.
Oh, do they?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't, okay, well, God.
Inflation just
with Michigan. Michigan's right now.
Right.
First place.
Aren't they like six in the rated? They're the six.
And Iowa played Indiana last week twice, back 3 days apart.
You can protect your retirement.
Is this in
Home,
girls
away, and at
basketball?
Uh-huh.
And Indiana was ranked 6th when they played them. They beat them in Indiana and they beat them in Iowa.
Learn how
They
to
beat-
set up your own gold IRA. Text the word
And,
shelter to 98.
They didn't play real well last night against
Do it now.
Rutgers.
Here we go,
No, when
boys.
I was watching, it was
To 989898.
Here's Michael Devine at AM 1400
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
with 60 rounds of freedom.
That's right. I've got 60 rounds of freedom with me at all times. I'm sure you do as well, Nevin. AM 1400 KVFD. the voice
Actually,
of-
no.
You don't have 60 rounds of freedom with you?
I'm flying naked, Mike.
Okay, we won't go there. Where did you go on your vacation? Just to Florida or Hawaii? Or where'd you go? You don't. You just don't want to say.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
It was a working vacation.
well, yeah, that's right. So you can deduct the whole thing. I got it.
No.
I'm down with the whole thing.
Okay.
A friend of mine who was, well, I'm always talking about a friend of mine who was an accountant. We used to have we all had trailers. I mean, mobile homes and shit, not mobile homes.
Trailers for sale or rent?
No, RVs is what. Now, what am I trying to say? The little trailers that you camp in, camping trailers. is what we
Campers.
had. Yeah, campers. Thank you very much. And we'd all pull into some spot, and then around 4th of July, we didn't have fireworks in the state. He'd send a couple of guys over to Sioux Falls with $500 or $700 and buy fireworks. And then he'd bring them back, and we'd all get in a circle just about dusk on the 4th of July. And he'd come out and say, "These fireworks are brought to you by Herbal and Voigt."
Oh, the accounting.
The accounting guy.
Yeah,
Yeah. So there he was.
That's
So
funny.
yeah, he'd do that every year, and sometimes the fireworks were better than we saw in other places. But anyway, we're talking sports here at AM 1400 KVFD, and if you would like to join the conversation, make a question or comment, 515-955-1400. So Iowa State and Iowa had good games. What's coming up for those teams?
Well, I was playing Nebraska tonight at Nebraska.
Yeah, right. That's right.
And,
You said that. And that's going to be a win, you guys think?
Well, it should
Well,
be.
it'd be a horrible loss.
It would be a horrible loss.
That bad, huh?
Yes.
But sometimes you go into those kind of venues and those, a team that has nothing to lose.
I think it was 2 years ago or last year, Iowa stunk it up pretty
Yeah,
bad.
they did.
And they
Got
had
beat.
Garza.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's Iowa hasn't had a lot of success in Nebraska, so I'm expecting a tough game actually. But it's
You
one
are.
that they have to win. Yeah, yeah.
Well, and I don't pay that close attention to Nebraska, unless it's Creighton. Of course.
Well, that's different.
All right. What about Creighton this year?
Man,
I still haven't got my poster, by the way.
Oh, it's in the car. I
got
bought
this
it.
empty spot here.
I brought it. I'll go get it
All
before
right.
we're done here
All
or
right.
whatever. Well, we had our highest high and lowest low a couple nights ago. I mean,
All right.
we played a great game in New York, won our 6th game in a row. We've got it all going. Beat Marquette on Sunday, St. John's at St. John's then on Wednesday night. Things were going well. And then our point guard broke his wrist, forearm, and a finger during the game with 8
Oh, no.
minutes left. Nebhard, who was in the running and should be the freshman player of the year in the Big East Conference. So he's our point guard, and he's done for the year. I just got a text. Everybody else is injured. I mean, we are really beat up. Ryan Hawkins, the kid from Atlantic, who's putting on a clinic in the Big East coming from D2. He leads the Big East in double-doubles with 10.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that really is something. And he's had 5 in the last 6 games, and he's the primary reason that all of a sudden we may get to the NCAA tournament, that we're on the bubble there. But he's got a he's got a fractured, I'm not sure, leg fracture. He's been playing on it, but he's not practicing. And we got our other 2, Kaluma is hurt, and he's on a minutes count, and O'Connell's hurt, and he's on a minutes count. Otherwise, things are going really well. And we play Providence tomorrow, and in Providence at 7:30. And if Providence wins tomorrow, it'll be the first time that they've ever won the Big East Conference outright.
Whoa.
So it's a huge game at the Dunkin' Donuts Center. and it's senior night, and they got 7 of them running around, or 6 or 7 of them running around. So, I mean, the place will be absolutely up for grabs. So, don't like this could get ugly because we'll be going in wounded. Of course, Providence had a triple overtime game, and under normal circumstances, it'd be a pretty good, somewhat good time to catch them. But it'll be wild, and I'm telling you, I've been to a lot of Big East games. I've been at the Big East tournament. There are no more obnoxious fans than the Providence fans. They are the A team. They are the A team. I tell you. And most of the East Coast is a whole different breed of cat than what you see around here.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the language and what goes on during those games. But Providence is in a class by itself, and that's saying a mouthful. So
Well, you know, I know you only have 6 players left on scholarship now, right?
Right.
So, but you have a COVID year left, right? So you could.
yeah, oh my God, would that be desperate?
They
Exactly.
need a point guard, at least a backup point guard.
Yeah. Oh my God. Those Providence guys would take me, throw me around like a rag doll.
Wow.
Huge.
You know, I worked on the East Coast for a couple of years in the Carolinas, and one of the kids that worked for me was from Pittsburgh. And he'd say, you know, when we went to Cleveland for a game, and the buses full of fans from Pittsburgh came, they would throw bolts at them in the bus.
Bolts?
In full cans of soup, you know, and all kinds of things. And they'd be beating on the sides of their buses with baseball bats. And I said, well, certainly they didn't do that in Pittsburgh. He said, oh, we were laying it for them. He said, that was, you know, and those were the days where Pittsburgh was the team, you know, and Cleveland was, well, Cleveland at the time. I can only hope they do a little bit better. Really, and I guess we did talk about the Super Bowl, but it was good to see 2 teams that you don't usually see in the Super Bowl there, especially the Cincinnati Bengals. Out east they do have their own way of doing things.
It's really harsh, vicious. It's just you hear it all, and that's the way it goes. And then after the game, they go, "Hey, you guys play a nice game." If they win, if they lose, get out of there. They're still angry. Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Yeah, I sometimes watch hockey games from out there, and the fans, you can see them on television. It's just a swirling mob.
Hockey, yeah, I would imagine, yeah.
And they really want
It's a
blood.
volatile game.
No, it is a volatile.
It's a
game.
great game to watch. So,
Yeah.
man.
So, are you guys tuned into the state high school basketball tournament or not?
Well, it's you know, the only team in this area that's still alive is the Humboldt Wildcats.
Well, I just heard that the Southeast Calhoun kids.
Well, girls,
Yeah.
yeah,
The Humboldt Wildcats for boys.
boys,
Okay.
yeah, and yeah, girls is South Central Calhoun, made the state. I think that's the only one around this area, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, you've got Garrigan and
Oh, yeah, Garrigan's
Mineral
in.
Pond.
Right.
Maybe they're sub-state final.
Well,
I don't.
no,
They're both in
yeah,
state
I
now.
think they're
Okay.
both in, yeah, because
Okay.
they're playing. They start Monday,
Okay.
so
There you go.
I really would like to see the Kirks girl from Garrigan play. I mean, there's a Fort Dodge connection there. She's the late Jimmy Kirk's
Right.
daughter, and she's a big girl too.
yeah,
She's
And I guess she's just a wonderful girl from people I talk
yes,
to
she
out there.
is.
Just a real sweet girl, and I would like to.
She gets a lot of recruiting attention.
Yeah, a lot. I think she's got another year at least of
Yes.
high school left.
I think she's a junior.
Yeah.
You're right.
Is there any indication where she might go?
You know, alls I do is what I've read in the paper. You know, Iowa State are
Yeah.
both after them. Both of them are outstanding girls programs.
Yeah.
I mean, Iowa State's girls program right now is ranked 6th in the country. Most people don't even know that they're
Yeah.
ranked 6th,
Yeah.
and they're good.
They're having a
And-
great
And
year.
Iowa's good too. They're ranked in the top 15, I think. So
Your wife is from a well-known Fort Dodge family, and of course, she's well-known as a golfer. Did she have the opportunity to play basketball in
Not
Fort
really.
Dodge
They-
Senior High, or did she? She
they,
probably went
they
to St.
didn't play
Edmunds.
girls basketball back then. I don't believe.
They just had intramurals.
Yeah, they just had intramurals. I mean, she played softball, but I don't think they had started. They were just getting ready to start girls basketball when she was like a senior in high school. I
Did
think.
she go to St. Edmunds? Or?
No,
She went
to
senior high?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Anyway, 955-1400 if you'd like to join the conversation as far as sports are concerned. So, well, it's good that the Humboldt Wildcats are in there. Are you suiting up for the game? Or?
no, they haven't called it. I'm still waiting for the phone call. They've got they got a good ball club. They were co-champions of the North Central Conference.
Good for them.
And
Who's the head coach up there? Do you know?
I don't even know who it is now. Who is it?
Oh, I do know the name, but I don't know him.
Yeah.
You know, the days were, I don't.
And
Come to
Humboldt-
think about it, I don't know who the St. Ed's coach is.
Oh, the guy by the name of Adolf
Yeah,
Kokendorf.
still there?
He's
Okay.
still there,
All right.
yeah.
I don't mean to say that in a negative.
No,
way.
I know it, I know.
Yeah,
Right.
okay. All right, yeah, we know you.
But I think they won last night, Humboldt. did,
Yeah.
right? Against
And they've got-
Central
they've-
Lamar's, and they got Spencer.
They got to play. I think they got to play
Spencer.
Spencer at Spencer.
Oh,
I
at
think.
Spencer.
Yeah, I think it's up there
Ouch.
or in that area to get the state. So.
It's a good class they've got up there, boy.
Yeah, they had a great football team, and
Yep.
now they got a really good basketball team.
All right.
Yeah.
They do have a good football team?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
They made the playoffs,
Yeah.
and they got
Very
beat
good.
by who beat them? It was
Well, it was in the
one of those. No, it was one of those. I can't remember. It was Harlan beat them. It was Harlan.
Mm. You know, in winter sports, of course, I like wrestling, and since I've been talking with you guys in the last few days, I'm actually watching a lot more basketball than I did. But I'm really waiting for baseball, and there's.
Well, I better,
Better wait till-
yeah, it's going to be a while the way it's going.
Well, that was where I was going.
Okay.
Of course, was the strike, and there's a threatened strike, and I don't. Does anybody know? Do you know, Nevin? Do you know what the discussion's about, or what the complaint is, or?
I have read up on it, but I can't. It gets really. How do I? It's not worth talking about because it gets very convoluted. Okay, we don't have time. I've read about it.
Well,
At
what
the
are
end
the,
of the
what are the
day-
highlights?
Well, yeah,
you
but
know?
it's hard. Years of service. What's the other? As far as
They're just not making enough money, Mike. That's the problem.
well, it's
Well,
always
it's always-
about money. It's always about
it's always
money.
an argument between multimillionaires and multimillionaires.
Right.
I mean, neither side looks all that well in that particular.
Well, here's what
discussion.
I would tell you is, they're really, they're playing with fire here. They're underestimating or how popular that sport, or overestimating how popular that sport is. Baseball's on somewhat thin ice. You may watch it, but Mike, they're losing people.
You watch it.
I do, but I mean, I can't. I rarely watch an entire game when I'm at home. I'm not going to sit down and spend a number of
4
hours watching
hours.
a baseball game.
I've never done that. But
Well, I'm
I've-
not saying you did, but I'm. My
and I don't
point
think
is-
you have either. It's,
Well, I'm saying I don't. And the game live doesn't move quick enough.
That's
They
right.
still there are real problems with baseball that really is what they should be trying to address, as opposed to fighting about the money. Honest to God,
Well,
they're going to lose popularity here. They are
Here's-
going to lose market share.
here's a problem that exists in all three major sports. I think the officials are interjecting themselves into the game. Football's getting ridiculous. You can't do anything without an official being involved. I mean, I've seen very questionable calls, and I know when they want to protect the quarterback, and I'm in favor of that, but man, they've gone overboard. And they have constant reviews of plays. They're slowing down one of the most popular, if not the most popular professional sport. And I think they're doing it in the NBA. They may be doing it to a certain extent in college basketball. Oh, yeah, I think they are. The officials are getting in the way way too
Actually,
much.
they don't.
And,
They,
and
if
determining,
anything, they're letting them play more.
They are
The
doing
game's
that.
gotten real. It's gotten real physical. In
oh, real
college.
physical.
It's incredible how physical college games gotten, and I think they've got to get away from the grabbing, the holding, and the bumping on drives. I mean, they've got to do something about
But that's
that.
been going on quite a while.
Yes,
Um,
it is.
They changed it though. If
And
you
that-
remember,
wasn't
about
that-
4 years ago, they were going to clean the game
Right.
up, and they basically said, "Oh, we're going to call it much closer," and they put everybody on notice, and they did do that, and then it just kind of went away. I don't know.
Well, that's probably coming from the owners. It's got to be the owners.
I'm
I-
talking about college games.
or college games. But I do remember the NHL, the National Hockey Association, a number of years ago, there was a complaint about violence in hockey. And one of the owners, and I'm depending on my memory here, but he came out and said, look, people come to hockey games to see fights. They don't really pay. Secondarily, they pay to see them push a puck up and down the ice. But really what they want to see is a good duke out. or words to that effect. And he's probably right.
I don't think
But-
so.
But you think?
I think I'd still go. I think most people will still go to a hockey game. It is fast paced.
Yeah, it
It
really
is
is.
exciting.
Do you
I
understand
think it's
hockey?
Kind of. Yeah, I do.
I
And
really
I
don't.
think it's probably one of the best spectator sports there is.
It's
To
a
be
growing
quite honest,
sport.
when you walk in, that
it's not-
game's
it's-
exciting.
It's just not a good TV.
It's not a good TV.
I have gone down to see Iowa State, and they had a hockey team. I don't know if they still do, but that was great.
Hockey,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
But
great.
you were saying, we were talking about baseball. And
Yeah.
You were saying that the game is too, we were saying, we all agree the game is too slow, but you were blaming that on the officials in baseball?
I really believe that the officials are interjecting themselves, yes, in baseball too much.
Well, how many times can they
Yeah.
review something in baseball?
And they've got to call balls and strikes.
Yeah.
Yes,
And they may
do.
have to call up that they're charged with calling, whether you're safe or out at first and at every other base.
So what's your point here? I'm wrong or what?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, matter of
I
fact,
thought that was your point over there, Coleman.
Yeah, you're,
Oh, the real thing here is, Mike, you suck. That's good attitude.
no,
Well, he was giving you a chance to
Boy,
rehabilitate
talking about taking
yourself.
it personal.
Oh, my
Jesus
Lord.
Christmas.
Giving me a chance. I
was.
need no rehabilitation.
You do.
I am as I
I'm
am.
not going to shake your hand after this show.
That's well, I'll grab you by the arm then.
He'll take a swing at you.
That's right.
Grab him off.
A brawl for it all here
Yeah.
in KBFT studio. Okay, so yeah, well, that's you guys do not believe the officials interjecting themselves.
Not in baseball.
All right,
I don't.
what-
But I
do
think
you
they're-
believe in sports in general?
in some sports, I mean, officiating's tough. I don't know where you go with it. The replay issues in pro football. On one hand, yeah, it slows the game up. On the other hand, people have been demanding get it right.
Get it right, yeah.
Get it right. So you have to balance those two and come up with, maybe a little quicker, but get it right is the end of the day. That's why they're doing it, because as you'll recall, the last couple years, they've gotten it wrong. So this year, they're really
Right.
trying to get it right.
In college basketball, though, even Jay Billis, who's a highly respected.
I like him.
Yeah. He's really come out and he's been very, which is unusual, but he's come out and been very, very critical lately of college basketball officiating.
Has he?
Yes. And it's kind of unusual to see a public pundit like that criticize the officials like he has. He came out and said, something's got to be done about this. This is terrible.
Well, in Bayless, what I like about him, he's very plain spoken.
Right.
I mean, he's not one of these smarmy, I don't know, Bob Costas guys, that
Right.
he's
Yeah.
just a very straight talker, and I appreciate it.
But you see these guys and like the post player, they'll just start banging down low, pushing a guy underneath the basket. And if you're trying to stop him from pushing, they call a foul on you. And it's like, wait a minute. I mean, it's just these poor centers, the 5-spot players. I mean, you got to have 3 of them anymore. They're all fouling out because they,
Well,
the players come and jump into them and they call a block. And then the next game, it's either a no call or a charge. It's just a really, it must be, I think the game has gotten so big and fast that the officials have really having a hard time calling a good game.
Oh, yeah, you look at news or sports film from the 60s with Bob Cousy. It's
Oh, yeah.
it's
College
totally
teams are
different.
bigger than those pro teams.
Oh,
back then.
yeah.
Well, I told you guys, I was watching off the air, the Ohio State-Illinois game last night.
Right.
Really physical. Well, Cockburn, my God, I don't know how you guard him. And I'm telling you, Ohio State, he would get down low and he would back himself in. And I mean, that Ohio State center, I'm sure still in the whirlpool. This guy is a monster. He's strong. He moves well. He caught him one time with an elbow, not intentionally, but he's just so big. And on the other hand, the Ohio State guy is banging into him. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know how you call the game. I don't know what a foul is now and what a foul isn't. It's
And it changes from game to game. I mean, that's the hard part.
but as a general statement, they're letting them play. I mean, I will say that. I don't care what game I'm watching, what conference I'm watching. Everybody kind of complains. They're letting them play, man. They are. It is what it is, and I think it is a product of these kids have gotten so big, so strong, and so fast. And that's a small court anymore with the size of these. That you got to let some of that go on, I guess.
What happened to Zion Williams anyway?
Well,
My
that's
man
an
Zion.
interesting story.
You know, talk about big and strong and impressive.
And hurt.
He just looked like the next generation to me. I mean,
Yeah.
this basketball players were evolving right before my very eyes when this guy was in college. And I haven't. He went to the Pelicans. I haven't heard from him since.
Been hurt every year. He's been hurt. He's hurt. He's got a broken foot right now. And
Yeah.
and that's the
Will you
bummer
never get
of it.
over a broken foot? Because I've broken my foot.
Sometimes you don't. Sometimes
Big
you
guys
don't.
really struggle with that. I mean,
Yeah,
big
Bill
guys,
Walton.
and yeah, well, you can go through them all. The guy
Yeah.
from Ohio State that was the
Eden.
number 1 draft choice.
Yeah.
Who's that? Greg Oden?
Oh,
Greg
Greg
Oden. I mean, you can go on and on and on. I mean, big guys and their feet, it's a problem. And with Zion, you put on top of that, this guy is heavy. He's a big boy.
Big.
Big boy. Now, he's a unicorn. He does things on the floor that you've never seen anybody
Oh, I love
do.
to watch him play.
You know, that's Charles Barkley on steroids.
Oh, really?
Back
Yeah.
in Charles' day. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they did talk about, and they've been talking about the fact that Zion's just kind of disappeared even from the team. And McCullough, who came in from Portland,
Oh yeah.
McCullough, or how can I not?
Not McClellan, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And he came in, and he's a terrific, he's a
yeah.
great leader. And he was, they said, well, what do you think about Zion? I said, I've never talked to him. They go, well, you've been there for weeks.
Never talked to
haven't
him?
seen him, haven't talked to him. I'm going to get a hold of him because he's certainly not reaching out to me. I want to meet him. And then Reddick came out and said, that's part of Zion's problem. He's just a young kid. He's, I'll use the word aloof. He's not involved with the team. And he says, you know, that's problematic. So
That is a kind of unusual story. He came off to me as a likable young man in interviews when he was in school. And again, I described him as the greatest player ever. You guys disagree,
of course.
But I'm disappointed that we haven't seen or heard anything from him at all.
But you
So-
know, the deal with him though is he just turned 21. I heard just in the last week or two or month. And this kid is just a baby. He's 20 years old, trying to navigate all this.
I understand, but
Yeah.
LeBron James came in the game when he was 18.
Well, and that's part of his strength.
Mhm.
LeBron James was able to adapt, and being a young person at that time. He did a remarkable job.
He really did.
He really did. People overlook that. You're right.
He's also a very plain spoken man, and I like that. You know,
You do?
Yeah, I do. What is with you and your shots today?
No,
Oh,
you're now listening. Now you hit a nerve with him.
No,
I'm okay with it, but we've had he doesn't like LeBron.
You know what? Well, yeah, I think he's pretty. Why don't you like a LeBron now?
It's too
You're getting-
political.
Oh my God.
You're getting weird in your old age, Randy. Weird. Okay, what's the problem with LeBron?
I think I just wish he'd concentrate on playing basketball,
Oh,
leaving
yeah.
politics and everything else out of it.
Well, you know, he's not Colin Kaepernick. We could get rid of Kaepernick.
He's not too far away.
Well, Kaepernick, much to everybody's surprise who liked him, was a mid-range quarterback. I'm
Right,
sorry.
right.
You know, he wasn't a superstar. He
No.
wasn't LeBron James.
No.
I mean, LeBron James practically is college basketball
Or
or NBA, excuse me.
one of the greats of
Yes,
all
for
time.
sure.
I mean, whether you like him or not,
That's right. Yeah,
he
you
is
can't
something
deny it.
else. Yeah.
All right, Nevin Mulholland and Randy Kuhlman have been our guests. Thank you, guys. Hope to talk to you next week. All right. This
Thanks,
is
Mike.
Oh, yeah. This is AM 1400 KVFT.
Iowa Specialty Hospital.
There we go. Another one in the book.
Let's find out for that handshake.
Okay.
We better not.
Do it on video. The public will love it.
Here, we'll just go for a fist bump. All right, there we go. Fist bump for you
Okay,
too.
okay.
All right. All right, thanks, guys. What do you got going this weekend? Anything?
I'm leaving
Not
again.
really.
Where are you going, buddy?
Going to Florida.